how do I handle all of that? It was just a mix of, it was a flurry of many things just
At once.
coursing through my mind, right? In fact, on the day of my child's birth, because of my lack of sleep, I almost lost my life.
Oh,
Yeah, really. I almost ran into the bush where I was driving home and I slept off.
hey Alpha. Welcome to another Soul episode. Today I have a special guest with us. It's my brother, Adejuwon. And he just had a baby girl.
Bouncing baby girl.
Bouncing baby girl, very beautiful. And today we're going to explore the topic, becoming a new father, and sort of, what that comes with in terms of responsibilities and emotional feelings. So yeah, I'm excited to dive deep into this with you.
Thanks for having me. I'm happy to do it with you too.
Awesome. Okay, the first question I always ask is, what was your feeling when you first learned that I'm going to be a dad?
I think I was a melting pot of many emotions. The first I would think is being nervous. I've not done this in my life before, so and then there's that anxiety, that tinge of anxiety, being very anxious about what that portends for me, my wife, and everyone that is related to me, the extended family, essentially. And then I had to start to think about finances, all the responsibilities that come along with being a father. Of course, I've been a child, so I know some of the worries my parents had raising me as a kid. Right, it was a lot. I think it was a lot to take in at that point in time, because beyond just trying to have a kid, many other things were going on the secular side, work, the wife, responsibilities to the people back home and all of that. But yeah, I don't think anyone is ever ready enough.
Yeah, for sure. I know I wasn't ready when I was to have my first one. It came as a surprise. Actually, we didn't plan for it. So when it came, I think I experienced the same emotions that you've sort of expressed now, where I was a bit baffled. I would say I was also I got into my, I guess, superhero dad mode. That okay, I need to start making a lot of money. I need to start putting things in place in preparation for the baby. But how did you manage all of that emotional, I guess, responsibilities and apparent responsibilities to come?
So I do think that, again, we're all learning on the fly. It's not innate or inborn knowledge or inborn capabilities as is, right? Mm-hmm. I think the first thing that we need to do, or I did as a father or as a soon-to-be father, let me say, I wasn't a father yet. I had to start putting in place some structures, right? Structures around ways of work, structures around how the relationship with my wife, who is my best person on earth, would be. Because being a fatherhood will stress, it will test you. So like I always say, we test your Jesus, to see whether you bow to some of those pressures, right? How did I manage? Again, I belong to a few communities around, some of which you belong to, right? Folks who I could speak to, kind of rub minds with to say, well, guys, these are I'm feeling at the moment. I don't think there was ever a best time to have a child, essentially. But at that point in time, I was thinking about finances. I was thinking about my wife, my immediate family. Right? She was the only family I had, essentially at that point in time. I was thinking about what this will become for us in the coming days, So community, I would say, played a really big part, because I had people I could speak to, people who I could just call on video and say, guys, man, my head won't blow, like social media people will say, right? And I could get kind of lean on the shoulders of certain people who have gone ahead of me, in terms of being fathers, in terms of being parents to actual kids, who they have trained or raised to a certain level, maybe 1, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years of age, and all of that, right? I could glean from their own wisdoms, right? These are things you need to do for work, for things that that centers around you, also plays a role in the responsibilities you have to those people within your inner circle. So it was a lot to deal with, but thankfully for all of those advice, all of the help that came in from
Yeah.
these different people, we are where we are today. It's, again, I won't say it's been perfect, but we're striving. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't expect anything to be perfect,
Yeah.
especially when it's your first time or even your second time. There's always something that you never expected.
The first time is still, I still revel in it every day. Sometimes I wake up and I'm like, oh, I am responsible for
another human.
for another human, man. Like, man. But yeah, I just do think that it's a privilege to be a father. I do not take it very lightly. I think that there's a reason why some of us have had the experiences we've had in the past as kids, just so it can also prepare us for these moments in our own lives, right? Again, I'm thankful for all the help that I've gotten from the people that love me, who I love, who have extended, all the grace that they can, especially as to helping me understand that, okay, these are how things are. And thankfully, I'm also a firstborn. I've had, some prior
favoritism.
I know. Anyways, I won't put it that way, but yeah,
every firstborn experiences that favoritism. I think, right? I think maybe when the other kids come, they start to dial it down. But your first child is always so special, right?
Hopefully my mother is not watching, but I still do think that I'm my mother's beloved. She's the shoulder. I am the shoulder that she leans on mostly.
Yeah.
After my dad, of course, right? But I think it's a general phenomenon. Even though they will not all agree to it. Yeah. But yeah,
it's the same with my mom as well. I think my older brother, who is the first
has
one,
got a heart. Yeah.
Yeah. There's no downplaying that. You will say no, but I know it is. We all know. No, but that's great. I think there are a lot of things to sort of touch on that. One is the community aspect of it. But before we go into that, let's look at the finance, right? Because this is probably the number one
source of worry
for a man, especially when you're young and you're still sort of building yourself and building your character, building your career. Cash and how to maintain a bigger family, and in addition, mouth to feed and all of that starts to play an important role. When it comes to that, how much of a worry would you say cash should be when you're thinking of a new baby?
I won't say it should be a source of worry, right? Again, I'll piggyback to something I said earlier. We are all still figuring this thing out, right? And then the baby comes into the mix. Like, we are all still figuring out our individual lives out. That, okay, I'm trying to get to a certain height, within my career. Well, career is mostly where you spend the most of your time.
Yeah.
I'm trying to build a certain relationship with God. I'm trying to be a better brother to my siblings. I'm trying to be a better friend to the people around me.
Yeah.
And then a baby who can be fussy, who can demand all the attention, wants to come in. So again, I would not say that money should be you should worry a lot about money. I think the first thing that any man, beyond just being a father, should have already is you should have a source of income. Right? You should already be doing something. Yeah. Your hands should have found something to do even before babies come.
Yeah.
Right? Of course, it doesn't mean that you cannot kind of get better offers, higher pays, and all of that. But you must have that sorted first.
Mm-hmm.
The moment you have an income and you can plan around what your inflows are annually or monthly or however it is, it kind of gives you some comfort.
Yeah,
that you can handle, certain pressures to come. So again, for someone like me, I typically will have a stash, however the situation is.
Yeah.
So if I lose my job tomorrow, my fear will not be because I do not have money to feed or to take care of the bills for a good period of time. It will be that how soon can I get another job? Not necessarily because we will not have money to spend, right? So money for me wasn't big. It wasn't big because I have a stash somewhere, right? But it was big because I've also started to think about, okay, there's a daughter who I might not have particularly planned for, specifically. So I have, you should have specificity of how you kind of appropriate the funds that you have or the monies that you have, right? So I've thought about long term, I want to have kids. They have to go to some some type of schools. They have
Yeah,
to
yeah.
live a certain standard of life, and all of that, right? But that's the most that it was. But then the moment you realize, oh, there's actually a physical
Yeah.
human baby, all that dynamics changes. Money wasn't much of a worry for me because I'd been building a pot
Yeah.
before that happened, right? So I think the advice should be before you start making babies, make sure you have a pot so that the worries then become how then do I double whatever that stash is? How then do I make, maximize the returns
Yeah.
on these savings, on these investments that I have so that I can cater to the immediate and long-term needs of the baby?
Yeah.
And well, of course, and every other person, that is tied to you.
I was going to say that everything sort of just shifts to the baby now, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
In the mid to interim.
Absolutely, because then you now have an extra person.
Yeah.
That's added to your bucket of,
Yeah.
I'm being responsible for this person.
Yes.
As this person being fed, you check. As this person gotten their monthly allowance, you check.
Yeah.
And the baby is there. She needs that.
Exactly.
Every month. She needs to feed. She needs to buy prams and all of that stuff, right? So money shouldn't be a worry. I think what you should be worried for really is, am I in a position where I am working, I get a steady source of income that I can plan with?
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't have to be $1 million.
Yeah.
But you have to start from somewhere. Right?
Yeah.
You have to start from somewhere. Thankfully, I had gotten to a level in my career where I'd, climbed the rungs of the career ladder to a point where I could comfortably say, okay, having another human to feed will not be a problem.
Yeah.
For the long term, I need to kind of also move some monies around, the pieces around within the investment that I have, to say, okay, this is for you. This should cater for your living, your school, your education, your feeding, and, and how you get around and all of that stuff, right?
Yeah.
So men should just be concerned about being able to provide part-time. As long as you have something that gives you good income, suffices enough to take care of your bills. I don't think money should be a big worry. It wasn't for me. I'm not, let's just say I've been privileged to be in the position that I am, right? I don't know for the rest of the other people, but I think that every man should have something that they're doing.
I completely agree for 100%. And I think a lot of men maybe stresses too much about the amount of money that they need to be bringing in each month. I think when you have a kid, it becomes a source of motivation as well.
To even work harder.
Absolutely. Because you can be comfortable with you and maybe just your wife. But once a kid comes in, it gives you that extra push. I've known people that so they're comfortable in their career, right? They're not really looking to go up, nothing like that. As soon as the baby comes in the mix,
they want that next level.
I'm going to that next level. They want that next level, and they push harder. And you sort of get a better quality of life, I think, because of the motivation that your child brings to you.
Absolutely.
Me, for example, I mean, every day I'm thinking about them, right? They depend on me. There are people that like you said, I have to be responsible for, and I have to take it very seriously. So yeah, I completely agree with everything that you have said. But let's now reel it back, okay? So these are things that you thought of, right? You were making plans, I would say, in terms of, financial plans, structure of life, putting, our relationship together and all of that ready for this baby. When the baby came, can you walk us through it? What was the, feeling, the emotion? Was there a relief? Was it when you first held the baby? What was the overwhelming emotion at the time?
It wouldn't be one emotion, I believe. I don't think it was one emotion.
Yeah.
I was a roller coaster of many kinds of emotions. There was the, I've become a father. And there was the, you are so cute. I love you. I will love you with everything that I've got. And then there's the, my wife who I've been tending to for 9 months, finally, can hang her boots, can hang her legs up and breathe, because it wasn't easy being pregnant.
Yeah.
Right. And you came safely. I'm glad that my wife is alive. I'm glad that you are alive. And then there's the, you have come now. I will not be able to sleep again. You have come now.
Yeah.
Will myself and my wife still have the same type of relationship we used to have as when it was just the two of us, essentially.
Yeah.
There was everything. There was the how do I get on with work now that you're here? I don't want to leave all of that pressure, the pressure of having to deal with this new baby, all to my wife.
Yeah.
How do I handle all of that? It was just a mix of, it was a flurry of many things just
At once.
coursing through my mind, right? In fact, on the day of my child's birth, because of my lack of sleep, I almost lost my life.
Oh.
Yeah, really. I almost ran into the bush while I was driving home and I slept off.
What?
It was really that bad. But thankfully I'm here. I'm thankful to God that he saved me, right? But he also points to the fact that we're not sleeping. We will not be sleeping.
Yeah.
From that point on, there will be a lot less sleep. I typically will be the guy that will wake up maybe by 2 a.m., walk till 6, catch a nap for another 1 hour, walk through the day. In the afternoon, I'm taking another nap. But there's a baby whose timelines doesn't align with yours. She wants what she wants at the time she wants it. And she must get it.
Yeah,
she must get it so that we all can have peace, right? So it was a mix of many things, honestly. A lot of emotions, a lot of restlessness, a lot of thinking, do I really want to be a father with all this stress?
Yeah.
Does our mom, my wife, want to be a mother with all of this stress?
Yeah.
Again, I'm thankful for the circle that surrounds us. Thankful for all the help from wherever we got them from. Yeah, But yeah, we are here now.
Yeah, I mean, so let's talk about work, because you mentioned work before. You said you weren't sleeping before the baby came. And now you're definitely not sleeping since the baby came. And I know that lasts for about a period of 3 to 4 months where the baby's schedule is completely different. And I know it's different per baby. So that's just a generalization. How did you then say, okay, how am I going to balance work and family life with this new addition? Because it's a phenomenon that everybody has to face, especially if you're the type that you're a goal getter in your career, and you're pushing yourself as hard as you can to climb that ladder. And now you have an addition. How do you sort of balance work and family? I know you. That's why I'm asking you. because before the baby came, you were very busy with work, and work is quite a lot for you. So I'm very curious to see what system have you put in place.
To be honest, it is still a hard balance to find, even at this time. Really hard balance to find. I think that peculiarities will exist for different fathers, but I can speak through mine based on my own current realities, based on my own way of work, how I work and all of that. I work from home, number one. So it gives me, or it affords me, that luxury of being able to dash upstairs and back. Maybe like 2-5 minutes, just check on people and stuff. So I think at that point in time, I started to become I would like that, more intentional about being in the present, right? So I could sit at my desk for 4 or 5 hours on end, just banging away at my keyboard and doing stuff, taking calls and all of that. But what I started to do was, on my calendar, my diary, I would lock in times that I would be reminded for, say, okay, these 20 minutes, you need to go upstairs to see your wife and baby, right?
Yeah.
That was one way to do it. Secondly, thankfully, from the position that I sit, I can delegate more of the things I ideally would need to have oversight over to other people, right? So it meant that I was trying to free up my time so that I could be more available for the people I call my own. Does it make sense, right? So I did that a lot. I wanted to just be in the moment because I wanted to see my child grow. I didn't want to miss the moment when she's a baby and then I'm looking up, she's towering above me, telling me to go and sit down. You old man, go and sit down somewhere, So
for sure.
That was what I did. I did a lot of delegation. Rather than sitting in a spot for 4 hours. I made sure that I broke that every 2 hours. That's how I did it. I have that like 20 minutes off of work. I'll go upstairs, just check my people, speak with them, have bands. I would say that my wife bore most part of the brunt because I still have to work anyways, right? in taking caring for the baby, but let it not be that I was working at the expense of the same family I'm working for. They needed to feel my presence, and I made sure that as much I'm still doing that as much as is possible, because every now and again I'll still ask my wife, do you think my daughter knows me? She said,
Wow.
absolutely. Yeah, I will ask her. She said, absolutely, because every time I enter into a room where my daughter is, she lights up. You see her smiling immediately.
Yeah.
Which is the kind of relationship I want to have with my child.
Yeah.
Right. So I did a lot of delegation. I did a lot of because I believe that it is whatever you find important, you will make time for.
Yeah.
Right. So I made sure that there were blocks in time on my diary that was specifically for my immediate family.
Yeah.
Right. Very important.
Very important. No, that's great. You mentioned something there. You said you didn't want to be working so hard at the expense of the people that you're working for. I think that's like you could just quote that, right? that is very important, because a lot of men, especially, they're either focused on just work because they're thinking I am providing for the family.
And then the financial pressure and
pressure and everything. And there's been recent studies that have shown that the lack of father in the present, fatherhood in a home, and you could be in the house, but you're not really in the house. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you could just lock yourself to working without having that sort of relationship with your children from as soon as they were born. It has an adverse effect on their personality, on the way they see life, on the way they expect love, and all of these different things. So I think that needs to be quoted, and maybe I'll do that and put it on the wall. So you're not working too hard at the expense of the people that you're working for.
Absolutely.
Very key. What I was going to ask, so I remember the first time that I saw my first son smile, right? Because when they're born, they're practically blind, so they can't really see until after a few months. But then that comes a time when they intentionally smile at you because
no longer reflexes.
And exactly, no longer reflexes. Did you experience that? And what was the feeling?
It's just it's really amazing. I don't know there's a word to kind of capture how I felt.
Yeah.
Or how I feel every time I see my daughter smile. I don't think there is a way to. It's just, I honestly don't know how to describe it. But it's just amazing. Yeah. It's just amazing that, okay, now you see me, it's daddy, you smile like daddy, And I think that's the basis for, or should I say the foundation for the kind of relationship you're going to have with these kids, right? The fact that they can recognize you, the fact that they understand that, okay, I know this person. They can also feel some warmth in return. You can smile at them, pick them up, hug them, hold them, rock them or something. Yeah. They know, okay, I can get some form of comfort from this person. That forms like the kind of foundation, or it forms the foundation for the kind of relationship you're going to have with your kids, because they know, okay, daddy will always be there for me whenever I need him to be there, right? Daddy will make sure he busts his edge just to get what it is that I want. He will do whatever he needs to do to ensure that I'm well cared for, I'm well provided for, right? So I honestly don't know how to describe that feeling. Yeah. It's just an amazing feeling, really.
Yeah, I mean, I can't put it in words either. It's also similar to when you see them take the first step. So my younger one, I think was it last month, he took his first step, and now he's like running up.
He's running everywhere, he's scurrying about.
So it's kind of like, oh, I can't wait for him to start walking. Now that he's walking, I'm like, can you just sit down?
Can you sit down?
No, it's unbelievable.
You know what is funny? We were having a conversation some 2-3 days ago, and my wife she was like, I can't believe you are this grown. She turned 5 months some 2 days ago, thereabouts.
Yeah.
Like, I can't believe you're this grown. You were so small that I couldn't even feel that I was carrying anything. But look at you now. I carry you for one minute. All my arms are paining, stuff like that. Like, I can't. And then I told her that the more reason why we need to be in the moment. Let's not miss the times when
they grow up so fast.
Really so little, let's not miss those. Yeah. Those are the times that we cherish the most, Yeah. Before you know it, she comes on and tells me she wants to get married, But I want to be able to remember, in good memories that, okay, you are my child. I held you for some time and I enjoyed those ones. I was in it. We both were in it,
Yeah.
And I was telling her, well, are we not doing that where we can do more of it?
Yeah.
I don't think it's ever enough, really.
No, I don't think so too. And in terms of your wife, as I know that, and I've seen experiences, I've heard of stories, and I know for myself and my wife as well, having a baby in the mix sort of changes
The
things a little
dynamics,
bit,
absolutely.
dynamics in the house. Sometimes it could temporarily be at the expense of, your relationship with your wife, for example. I know there are a lot of, like, health.org, they did the study recently where they said that a lot of fathers, they experience sort of
Like a disconnect
like a
or something.
disconnect or some kind of emotional trauma after the birth of the baby within the first 3 to 4 months. And I know that, I mean, that's fathers. I know that women probably
Experience more.
experience something because, having this thing in your body for 9 months, and then now it's a big change, and then now you have to deal with having a husband and having a baby that's so demanding. How has that affected your relationship with your wife, and what are the things that you've put in place to sort of say, okay, you know what, we're gonna secure some of the values that we fell in love with in the first place?
When it was just the two of us in the marriage, it was, we had certain things that we had cadences for. We would take walks together hand in hand on specific days.
You're romantic.
We will play indoor games,
Yeah.
even go to the cinemas together and stuff. But all of that has changed. I don't remember the last time I sat down with my wife to see a movie.
Yeah.
I don't remember the last time we sat down to play a game. The things that used to interest us,
Yeah.
they still do interest us. We just don't have as much time to do those things, right? So these days, in fact, there was a time when my wife was, how would I put it now? It seemed like she was just on her own. She had created like a path on her own. She felt like we that surrounded her were not doing enough. One, she she was handling all the pressure. It almost became resentment at some point. But again, we have to sit down and trash things. Babe, what do you want? What do you need? How are we not doing things properly when we used to do things? When we used to be this way? Why are things because of a baby? I do think that in such instances, sitting down to have proper communications and proper plans, right? As to, okay, we know these are the restrictions or the constraints based on our new reality, right? How do we work around it? How can I support you to be a great mother? How can I support you to be a great father? How can I support you even though I'm not at work, I'm caring for the baby as the mother? How can I also support you such that you are present here for us, but you are not lacking at work?
At work.
So those were the conversations that we had, conversations that we still kind of refresh every now and again to say, okay, how are we doing? We have, say, like a vision board to say, okay, can we tick off certain things, on our list of goals or objectives? Are we doing this right? Are we being better children, even though we have kids? Are we still reaching out to our parents? Our friends still feeling us that, okay, these guys are there for us? I typically, since I got to the UK, I do not go anywhere. Neither does my wife. If you knew me in Lagos, I don't sit down in one place. I am everywhere. Maybe because by the virtue of the job that I do too, but even when I'm not working, I am everywhere. Right? But I came to the UK and I've all of a sudden become very sedentary. It's just me, my house and me. And that's it. And my wife, essentially. Right? So we've started to kind of make some lifestyle changes, right? Around the fact that we are now parents, our kid has to be cared for. But we can also not neglect the fact that we met each other first before that baby came along. Right? So we need to do certain things that we used to do. We might not do them as much because of time constraints, but we'll make very intentional efforts to make sure that those things, we do them. Right? So you will hear, if you pass by my house sometimes, you hear me and my wife, playing very mundane games we played when we're children, right? Or you hear us, I need to walk. Oh, come and hold your baby daddy. I'm going to, it's just fun and games when everybody just ignores the fact that, oh, we used to be this way, we used to be this sort, some sort of way before this baby came. All of a sudden, the baby has changed everything. But because we now have those regular communications,
Yeah.
right? It's okay. Are we doing okay? Are you okay? Right?
Yeah.
How are we doing? Can we eke out time for 1, 2, 3 things? Even if we can't do the third thing, let it not be said that it was for lack of trying. We've done the 1 and 2 things.
Exactly. Yeah.
Stuff like that, right? So that's what we do these days. It's okay. We try to do this assessment, evaluation thing every now and again. Are we getting closer to God as a couple? Are we getting closer to each other? Do we still like each other? I didn't say love. Do we still like each other?
Yeah.
Are we still friends? Despite the fact that there's a baby who has got all of our hearts now, are we still friends, right? Are there still, mutual values that holds us together? Again, I would think it is communication, really. Communication and then executing all the things that you have agreed while communicating. So that's essentially what it is.
Yeah, I mean, you made a distinction between love and like there. Why? I'm curious.
So, love fizzles out.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it does. As a matter of fact, the reason why you love someone was because you started liking them first. You didn't, for example, you didn't just see your wife like,
I love her.
I love you. It didn't happen that way. You like her. Perhaps you saw a character or a trait, or she behaved some sort of way. She wore a certain type of dress. You saw her facade and was like, okay, this person looks like she's decent. Maybe you didn't even have plans to marry her. You just liked her because she is who she is.
Yeah, for sure.
Right?
For sure.
And that was the basis for whatever has spanned out to become
what it is
the
now.
Dino family. Do you understand? So that's the basis for everything. But the moment you now take like out of it and say love can get tired, and that's the honest truth.
Yeah.
Love can be affected by a lot of things. It can be... So people profess love to themselves at the point of marriage. Oh, I love you, blah, 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 blah. And then things happen. Kids come along, your source of income gets cut off or something. And then the love just disappears.
Yeah, I mean, I partially agree. What I think is that, do I see love? Love is more of a decision to me. And I think that's where you're going. So it's not a feeling. It's not a feeling of it's there now, it's not there tomorrow.
It's a commitment, that whatever happens,
I will be.
I am still in this shit. Yeah.
But I think you're right. I've never seen it in that way before. But now I'm sort of seeing the light. When you talk about like, because it is the like that gets you to the position of making that decision of love.
Yeah.
So I like the way. So we should continue to like those things. Like, it's very important. And revelation, everybody, I've never seen it that way before. If I liked the way you used to walk, I need to ensure that I still like the way you walk 10 years from now, 40 years from now. Even though I have made that decision that I will still love you, but I should still find things that I like. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And being intentional to make sure that, okay, do we still like each other?
Yeah.
And make sure that like is there. I think for sure a new way for me to start looking at things. You mentioned another thing that I think I want to stress out, or at least allow everybody to make sure that they didn't miss that gem. You mentioned that there were times where you basically had to sit down with your wife, and we understand the dynamics. She is going through a lot of emotions right now. She's maybe thinking people are not there for her, or maybe you're not there as much as she wants you to be. And I think what you said was, you sat down with her and said, what can I do for you? How can I help you? And I think that's a conversation that a lot of men fail to have. A lot of men just think, oh, she's having one of her episodes again.
Or she will understand.
And just taking that moment to say, let's be intentional. Let's sit down. What can I do for you? It's very important. And I think a lot of men should be doing more of that.
Absolutely.
And on the reverse, sorry to cut you short, on the reverse, having the woman ask the guy, are you okay? Right? Because at the end of the day, we are also working. We are working for you.
Absolutely.
So
for you
people
people.
expect us to just leave work and just focus on you.
Absolutely.
Nothing comes in.
Absolutely.
So there needs to be a balance to say.
Yeah, it's a two-way. It's a two-way.
Yeah,
it's a two-way stream. Really, it's a two-way stream. It won't just be one-sided. If it were one-sided, then for sure it's going to lead to whatever I will need to.
Yeah.
I cannot mention.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
So it's a two-way stream. It has to come from both ends. Right. Again, you talked about commitment. Commitment is not a one-sided affair.
Yeah.
Commitment has to be from both parties to say, okay, whatever happens, we'll make this work.
Yeah.
Whatever whirlwinds, surround us, we will make this work together. It is me and you against the rest of the world.
Yeah.
Me and you against the rest of the world, including the baby. Oh.
Yeah.
It is you I married
For
first.
sure, yes.
It is you I married, not
Yes,
the baby.
yes,
You get what I'm
yes.
saying? So it's just what it is really.
And there's been a lot of because sometimes I check social media and I see people say, "Oh, the baby comes first and then my spouse." I think that is completely wrong.
Absolutely.
Like you said, you met your spouse first. You met your wife or your husband first. They come first. The way I sort of process it is that, God forbid, if the baby were to be gone today, I can make more of them.
Absolutely.
God forbid, right? Because we are the source. We are the source of that life. Now, if you are gone, it's difficult to make more of them. I would have to find another woman, remarry, and all of these things. Like, we don't even want to think about that. So that's the way I process it. So my number one priority is my wife. After my wife, then my
Then
children.
come
So
the kids.
it's very important to make sure that the dynamics between you and your wife are okay and they're on a solid foundation.
Absolutely.
Because if they are not, it's going to eventually affect your children, and that's no way to bring up a child.
Absolutely. I'm totally in agreement with you. Absolutely.
Awesome. Okay, just to round off our conversation, I wanted to ask about you mentioned community a lot. How has the community sort of been as impactful? And would you say that everybody should definitely find a community that they can be part of that supports them during that journey?
For some funny reason, there's a popular aphorism that's coming to my head. No man is an island.
Mm.
And another one just came to my head now that says, what's that one? That it takes a whole village
To raise a child.
to raise a child. You might have all the monies in the world, have all the resources that you need to, at least to the very best, give the child all that they want materially. But of course, you can't do the emotional part of it with money, right?
Yeah.
Honestly, the only way to put it is that community is very important. So I'll cite an example. Community doesn't also have to just be third party or people that are not related to you by blood. Community also includes your own family.
Yeah.
My own mother-in-law moved from Brighton, bought a home 5 minutes away from us, just because she wanted to be there to support us during that period when we are just giving birth.
Yeah.
Nobody, think about it. That's a major sacrifice. She moved from somewhere she's lived for over 20 years. That's where she's called home for the most part of her life, just because she wanted to be here to support. So it means that she must have had to make decisions around, I used to work in Brighton. How do I handle it here now that I'm coming to Newcastle? I'm coming from the south, to the north. Well, it is claimed that here is colder than Brighton. Yeah. But she's older, so these people don't particularly like cold. She's Nigerian, you know. I'm sure she must have had to go through many stages of having to think about it. That is this the right decision? But the way he even looked to her, it was as if it was on a whim. Guys, I'm coming to Newcastle. Help me start looking for homes that I can buy.
Wow.
And that was it.
Wow.
That was it.
That's a big sacrifice.
Honestly, it is. I don't know. Honestly, that's the only way I can describe sacrifice now. If anyone is telling me otherwise, that is major sacrifice. And then I've had friends, friends turned family. People come around to, you've just given birth. You are pregnant. There were times during my wife's pregnancy, I had to travel for work, like leave the continent. And I had people that were going to hold her up. They would take her to work, drive her back home,
Wow.
You help her get stuff, groceries, drive her around. I was not in town, but if I didn't have the community, right, I might as well have not traveled for those trips, because there will be no one under whose care I could keep her at those points in time, right? Community came, they became bearing gifts. I still have a full room. Start with different things, for different stages of my child's growth.
Wow.
There's pampers for when, oh sorry, diapers. That's what you guys call it. There's diapers for when she was a newborn. There's diapers when she's 1 month,
Wow.
2 months, 3 months, up until maybe when she's 8, 9 months. That I have full stock of. There are toys for every developmental
Wow.
stage of her life.
Wow.
There's a lot, and this is because I belong to quite a number of communities.
Yeah.
People who are not related to me by family, but they become friends now. People
Yeah.
whose shoulders I can lean on for certain things. They came bearing help. Can we help you wash the baby? In fact, I got that level of offer. Can we help her wash
Really?
the baby? Yeah, when she was born, we can
Wow.
come and take a bath for her at least for the next 2 weeks. But thankfully my mother-in-law was around, so I didn't need that. But those were the kind of offers I got or that we got at that point in time. Community is everything, honestly. Community is everything.
I think you're right. Community makes it easy.
Honestly, it does.
So easy. Yeah.
And I always tell people, it would be wrong for me to come on your podcast and not tell people what I do. I'm a salesman. I sell. And one of the things I tell people that work with me, my subordinates and peers, is you are at the most 3 persons away from the person you are looking for. At the most. So what I mean is, I'm trying to speak to Trump. I can beat my chest that if Trump were to become something of focus for me, I can get to Trump in at least 3 jumps. Someone who knows someone who knows someone who knows someone who knows Trump.
Yeah.
Right. And that's always played out. Right. So community is everything. If I didn't know someone who will have known someone from somewhere else in his own past life, how would I be able to make the kind of advancement I want to make? Right. Community is everything, really. Everything.
Wow. Thank you. So powerful. 2 more questions. Or let's explore faith. Has faith been an important role in maybe the preparation or even maintaining and sustaining? And how has it?
Faith is the ultimate thing. Ultimate. Even times when it seemed that we were veering off course, it was still faith.
Yeah.
That made sure that we didn't lose our heads. We didn't lose the purpose for which God had given us the assignment. Faith is everything, honestly.
Grounded you.
On the secular life, on the marital side of things, on being a child, on being a friend, on being anything that I'm called to be. Faith is absolutely everything. It's at the center of everything, because it's on the anchor of that I'm able to be those things as effectively as I can be, essentially.
Yeah.
Faith is everything.
Okay, fantastic. Well, thank you so much. Before you go, I want you to look at them and just give them, what are the 3 tips that you would give a new father or potential father, someone who's maybe thinking about it or maybe going through the experience right now? What are the 3 tips that you give them on being the best for not just the baby, but also for their wife?
You would think you know it until you ask this question. So I need to give you the thing so it comes out proper, the way I would expect to hear it myself. Number 1, no one has got it figured out. You don't have it all figured out. So you must understand that we're all learning. We're learning on the go, right? Everything won't be perfect. There won't be a best time, honestly. Everything won't be perfect. So essentially, strive for perfection, but you cannot, in the journey of strive for perfection, lose sight of the little things, right? I think the thought I would make it for the third thing is you must learn to live in the moment. It's absolutely very important. You have to live in the moment. Then I think number 4 is, no, I'll make it 5.
Okay.
Number 4, there must be an open line of communication between you and your spouse. They are the most important person in your life, right? Then the 4th person, or rather the 5th point, which should have been number 1, is there's a God who sits on the affairs of man. You must learn to rely on him. There's a God who sits on the affairs of man. If God directs you and you yield to his leadings, you will be better positioned, to get to Canaan land or promised land, essentially. That's what it is.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your personal experiences. It's been an honor.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Thank you for listening. I hope that has blessed you. And until next time, Thank you and God bless.
Like and subscribe.